I took my love and I took it down. I climbed the mountain and I turned around, and I saw my reflection in the snow-covered hills where the landslide brought me down. Oh, Father, in my mind, what is love? Can the child within my heart rise above? Can I sail through the changing ocean tides? Can I handle the seasons of my life? I don't know. Well, I'm not afraid of changing, 'cause I built my life around you. But time makes you bolder. Children get older, and I'm getting older too. Well, I'm not afraid of changing, 'cause I built my life around you. But time makes you bolder. Children get older, and I'm getting older too. Well, I'm getting older too. So take my love, take it down. Oh, if you climb a mountain and you turn around, and if you see my reflection in the snow-covered hills where the landslide will bring you down, and if you see my reflection in the snow-covered hills, will the landslide bring you down? The landslide will bring you down.
Begin now by sitting comfortably in your seat, relaxed and restful. Gently close your eyes and begin following your breath. Inhaling deep within, drawing in God's life force inside you, and breathing out any stresses or worries present within, releasing them all away, recharging you with each vital divine breath. Shifting your gaze inwardly to your eyebrow center naturally, with your eyes relaxed. Visualize yourself being seated on a sandy beach. just as you are seated right now. Seated in front of the majestic sun, shining its light on you, its ever bright light. Feel the sun's rays falling warm onto your skin, being absorbed by every pore of your skin. Its strong, charged warmth traveling deep into you, reaching every tissue, every muscle, reaching and recharging every nerve that runs in your body. This golden healing rays seeping into your bones, into the center of your being, flooding you completely with its healing warm light, uniting with who you really are, uniting with that eternal glowing light that you are. Become one with this light, feeling more and more you being flooded with this divine, life-giving source of light, the source of being alive in its nature. Allow yourself to be fully recharged by this cosmic powerhouse of infinite supply. Visualize and feel streams of this glorious golden God's light to flow through your body, sinking from your crown into your face, radiating through your eyes, down your throat, into your chest, filling your lungs and illuminating your heart, washing over your belly and lower abdomen, all down your spinal column, illuminating every energy point, revitalizing it and restoring it, every cell into its perfect order and harmony. Allowing it to flow down to your root and into the sands flowing beneath you, grounding this into Mother Earth. Release any low vibrations of fear, doubt, or tension into this light and welcome the Supreme Source of Health shine bright and more radiantly in your alignment with your authentic truth and divine nature. Do not be afraid of shining your light. All forces of nature are tied together by God's directing power. Everything works in its natural harmony with the divine plan. Just like the sun, which plays its part, its role assigned by the divine. It is safe to perform and be your nature. It is divine order. You can safely give yourself permission to allow to release all that doesn't fit your role and embracing your divine design fully within you. You may gently open your eyes.
Hello everybody, this is Dani Caicedo. I am living in harmonious twin flame union with my beloved twin flame Ian, and today I'm here to do the card reading for the Sunday service, and I feel very honored to do that for you guys. So what I'm using is this one here, and I really like it because it's like all about like fairies, and you know, it's kind of like the fairy tale energy, and like, you know, to believe in magic, to believe in like in yourself and in God, and like, you know, the things that you don't see and everything. So I really like this deck. So I pull out 3 cards for you guys, and the first one is it's called Caballero de Copas, which is this one here. And this is all about, you know, this is the guy who, you know, believes in love, and he's like, you know, he's always in love, and he's always believing that, you know, he can have everything that he desires, you know, if he wants, because he's very strong in the belief that he has for love, and he's very strong, he's standing strong in that. This is also telling you, right, like this is talking to twin flames, right, to tell you that in order for you to keep on your journey, to stay strong, you have to believe in the love that you feel, that you have to stay in that place of love, right? Because what we usually do is, like, you know, when we're upset, we tend to, you know, stay in that place. So this guy here, you know, is telling you, like, the divine masculine, right? Like, he's saying, like, hey, like, you know, stay in love, like, you know, like, you don't need to stay away from loving me. You don't need to stay away from loving yourself. We are one. So he, you know, he's here to show that how the oneness of twin flames, the oneness of the world too, how we are all one, and that if we stay in love, and if we choose to see everything from a place of love, then everything is going to be always in harmony, and that's harmonious union. So the next card that I pull is Cinco de Copas, and it's the divine feminine there. And I found it pretty interesting because, like, you know, she's like crying, and she's like grieving something, right? But what this also says is that it's grieving when you're going through like emotions. It's not a bad thing. It's actually a very good thing. And if you can say, like, she's holding something here, which means that, you know, that's the harmonious union, that it's already with you. You are already in harmony with the divine, with yourself, with God, with your twin flame. And so this card is here to tell you that don't take the challenges as something bad. Like, you know, if you are experiencing a challenge, it's not a bad thing. You're purifying yourself so you can ascend, so you can be with God, and it's a good thing. So you can stay in that place of being with yourself through, you know, through the challenges, because the challenges, like I said, are all they are taking you deeper in love, and it's a beautiful opportunity. So she's here to tell you, choose to see challenges as a good thing, choose to see challenges as a beautiful opportunity to heal, to go deeper, and to be in harmony with God. Your harmonious union, it's there, it's with you, and it's not going anywhere. And then I pull out the last card, which is Ocho de Pentáculos, and she's here, and you can see how relaxed she is now, because, you know, once you choose to see, you know, the challenges as something very juicy and as a beautiful opportunity, then you can create with God. So this card is here to tell you, create with God.
do whatever you feel, explore, like explore your gift, like connect with it and create with God. And don't hesitate on doing that. And if you are, if you're okay with everything that arises, if you're okay with processing emotions and you don't attach to it and anything, then good, keep going and create and trust and surrender. All right, guys, hope you like it and enjoy the Sunday service.
Hi, Lisa here with the Church of Union, and today I want to talk to you about God. Jeff and Shaleia's sermon coming up next is going to be all about God, and I wanted to share a little bit about my journey with God, and perhaps you can relate to it. So for most of my life, I thought God was something in the sky, something on clouds with like a beard, dictating what my life would be, and I was always praying to God. I grew up Christian and then later became a Baha'i, and I prayed to God, and God was always somewhere else. And I had to pray to God to ask for his help, and maybe God would come, maybe he wouldn't. And so that was like kind of like my relationship with God, as this mysterious being somewhere else that I called and prayed to and hoped he heard my prayers and deemed me worthy of responding to them. And I really felt like I was at the mercy of something outside of me. As I learned from Jeff and Shaleia, that is not how God works. That isn't what God is, and that isn't how God works. That's actually an idea founded in separation consciousness. And so as I started doing this work, I realized that God is within me, and I say he because it's God is a person, right? Like we can say he, she, it, but I say he just because that's what I'm used to. I think Jeff also explains this in class, that's why he says he as well. But I realize that God is within me as well as without, like everything, including me, and especially me, my consciousness. And I'm like a particular flavor of God. And it's very real. It doesn't diminish God in any way to realize that you are of God. In fact, that the mystery just increases. Like, what is this consciousness, right? Like, what is looking out of my eyes? What is that? But I'm still healing through those layers that I learned as a child, where I felt like all that I desired was outside of my power and choice. And realizing that you're a divine being really sets it in stone that you have choice, and that you co-create with God. You don't have to ask God for something and then wait for God to decide when you're ready to receive it. That's not how God works. God isn't separate from you at all in any way. So Jeff and Shaleia will talk more about God, and I really, really love how, and whenever they talk about God, I really love how they talk about what God is and how you experience God in a real way. So without further ado, here are Jeff and Shaleia.
Hi, I'm Jeff.
And I'm Shaleia. Welcome back to another wonderful Church of Union Sunday service. Please join us in our 3 sacred Oms with the Amen at the end. Please, if you can, if you can't sing out loud or Om out loud, please chant mentally. All right, shall we begin?
Sure.
All right. Let's close our eyes and let's focus in on our heart chakra. Then we're going to Om from that place. that sacred deep Om from our hearts and letting it expand out into our being, raising our vibration and becoming harmonized in love with God, our Creator. So shall we begin our opening prayer?
Very good. Follow along aloud or in your hearts, whatever feels good. I am the only child of God, forever part of Him. I am created by Him in perfection, and there I always remain. My mind is my sanctuary, where I keep His holy creation sacred. I will only allow in His voice. I will only accept His word.
Today, I will hear the word of God. I surrender myself to His teachings through His divine channel. I will honor what He has spoken and accept it as His will. I will be obedient to His word, for this is my salvation. In Christ's name, Om. Amen.
So we have a very special sermon. I guess you could say that about every sermon. And I feel particularly so about this sermon because it's about God. And I'm going to start off with a poem that really struck me from Autobiography of a Yogi that Paramhansa Yogananda had written. And it's called God, God, God. Let's begin.
Let us begin.
From the depths of slumber, as I ascend the spiral stairway of wakefulness, I whisper, God, God, God. Thou art the food, and when I break my fast of nightly separation from thee, I taste thee and mentally say, God, God, God. No matter where I go, the spotlight of my mind ever keeps turning on thee, and in the battle din of activity, my silent war cry is ever, God, God, God. When boisterous storms of trials shriek, and when worries howl at me, I drown their clamor loudly chanting, God, God, God. When my mind weaves dreams with threads of memories, then on that magic cloth will I emboss, God, God, God. Every night, in time of deepest sleep, my peace dreams and calls, joy, joy, joy. And my joy comes singing evermore, God, God, God. In waking, eating, working, dreaming, sleeping, serving, meditating, chanting, divinely loving, my soul constantly hums, unheard by any, God, God, God. That's the good stuff.
That's a good poem.
So Yogananda is talking about in her poem how God, God, God is almost like her heartbeat. It's almost like
her rhythm.
Yeah, the rhythm of life for her. God, God, God. She's chanting it. God, God. She's singing it. God. She's living it. She's breathing it. She's everything with God. And that's what today's sermon is going to focus on, is God. So let's first start off with some basics, like what is God, and how do I know that God exists?
Oh, I like that.
So first, God is the primary. God is the creator. God is He's the first cause. In science, we know that for every effect, there must be an effect, or it must be a cause that precedes that effect. And so, if you look at the Earth, and it's as an effect, and the solar system as an effect, and what was the cause of that? Well, science would say, it was the Big Bang. Okay, the Big Bang was what created all this physical universe, and it started as maybe this tiny little atom that everything was, compacted into, and from that the universe was made. But I'd like to ask, well, where does that come from? And, science would say, well, we don't know, or maybe it just was always there. Well, that always baffled me too, because if it was always there, like, what created it? Oh, it just was. Well, that never really made sense to me without God. Because you can't get, something from nothing. There has to be something. Something only comes from something. And so just this basic understanding, knowing that there is, a cause before everything, and a causeless cause, logically that's God. And so God is the creator. I didn't create myself. You didn't create yourself. We didn't create each other. Your biological parents didn't create you. They obviously bore you into the world. But what you truly are was not, you didn't just crop up accidentally. The mathematical perfection, that harmony, that order of the universe, that didn't just come. Order had to be created. Harmony had to be created. Mathematics had to be created. And the thing that mathematics describes had to be created. All of it had to be created. And it all started first from presence. God's presence. God's awareness. That was what was first. And love springs up after that. It's God's greatest creation other than you. Love is what God created in order to describe how he feels about you in the extension of himself. And I remember in a previous sermon we talked about God created us because he said, "Verily I am joy, and but there is none to share,
None to enjoy me.
none to enjoy me."
Yeah.
And then he created you,
And thus we were born.
the one child of God, formed in an instant. So God created you, and God loves you, and God is perfect. God is not some, white bearded dude up in the sky, like deciding whether he's going to punish you or whether he likes you. And that's not it. God is awareness itself. And God is everything. There's literally nothing that is not God, because everything is God. There's only God. And if you think about, okay, well, if God's here in the physical universe, there's space, and then God would have to fill up all the space. And the paradox you have here is, as God fills the space, if you're thinking about God in your mind, as God fills the space, well, more space is created for God to fill. And so it seems like this eternal expansion into the nothingness, but in actuality, space doesn't really exist. It's just a mental construct, a concept, to describe, in reality, your separation from your creator.
Just as time is a construct, so is space.
Time and space are mental constructs. And this idea of the universe coming from a single, cell, it actually makes sense, because all of creation is one. There's no separation, there's no space between anything in creation. You're part of God. And this illusion of space and this illusion of time start to fall away as you get closer and closer to God. It's not important anymore. What's important becomes only God. So first, we're talking about what is God. God is everything. God is all that is good. God is in you, and he's in me, and he's in your money. He's in your health. He's the life inside the grass. He's the harmony in the universe. He's everything, and he's the only thing that you want. You think you want that new job, right? The one that's going to pay the bills and take you on vacations, and you're going to be able to retire onto, and it's going to be challenging, but you're going to feel really good about yourself. Well, God is in that, and actually the only thing that you want about that is God. And let's pull it apart. What do you want from the vacation? Well, I want the sense of relief and relaxation and freedom and exploration and fun, and all those feelings are actually God. The vacation itself, I'm sure you've been on a vacation where someone was miserable, or maybe you felt miserable for a moment, or you've heard of people who've gone on vacations and they're just miserable. Well, that's an absence of God. It's proof that the vacation itself was not the bringer of joy, but God. And it's only when you're close with God that you can feel good. And let's talk about the money that job brings you, that you really want. And if I just had billions of dollars, I wouldn't have a care in the world. Well, ask any billionaire and they'll tell you about all their cares. And I bet you some of them aren't even related to their billions. Ask heirs and heiresses of multi-billion-dollar fortunes, and they'll tell you about all their problems. It's not the money. And any successful person with a little bit of awareness will tell you that it's not the success it doesn't make them happy, right? Like we're about to get our mansion potentially, and it's not even harmonious union. That doesn't actually make you happy. It's God. God makes you happy. There's nothing beyond God, and there's no goal beyond God. God is the only goal. And so when you reach God, that's when you can stop, because you're completely satisfied. There's nowhere to go but God. There's only reason to go anywhere when you feel separate from God. And you need to close that gap. And in fact, the act of going is an illusion. It's just a surrender, a process of letting go into God.
Just like the prodigal son story that we talked about a couple sermons back. Like he had the illusion that he could go off and have a wonderful life separate from his father and just take his little bag of goodies.
Yeah.
But no, his like, it's wherever God is, like that's where you really desire to be.
So God is in everything. God is in every breath you draw. He's in every thought. He's the source of every thought. He's everything. And God is perfect. And God cannot create imperfectly. And so you might wonder, why is it that there's so much suffering in the world? There's disease, and there's climate change, and there's catastrophe, and there's war, and there's misery, and there's poverty, and there's starvation, and there's all this miserable stuff. People are fighting, and, there's garbage. How can God have created, people if they can be so evil? How can God create me if I feel so bad? If I feel bad, then I must not be perfect. If I'm not perfect, then I must not be of God. Well, here's the logic that will explain all of this misery for you. God created you perfect. And so you cannot be anything but perfect. And so the misery that you experience can only be one thing: an illusion. It can't actually exist. And the reason that the converse is not true, being that God doesn't exist, is you go back to the initial logic. Well, what is the causeless cause? The causeless effect. What is that? What is the initial? And that's when your mind will start to go wonky. I don't understand. You can't really wrap your mind around it. God is not supposed to be a mystery. God is supposed to be known. He wants to be known, but he's shy. He must be wooed. He's a person. He's not just an all-pervasive, all-aware energy of which you are a part. He's not just an infinite source and a well of goodness. He's a person.
He's a being.
He's a being. He has personality. He has feelings. You have a relationship with that person, just like you have a relationship with yourself, or with your lover, or with your dog, or with your best friend, or even with your house.
I think didn't you look up the definition of person once?
Maybe.
Yeah, and it did apply to God. Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah. Anyways, can't remember. The full description, but it was pretty cool.
God is a person.
Not a human, but a person.
He's a being. He's a divine being. He is what you come from and what you return to when your ascension journey is over. He is the goal of every religion. He's the goal of unionism, of every spiritual practice, of every hobby and pursuit, of every career, of every endeavor. He is the goal. And you've only achieved that goal when you've arrived at him. And once you've arrived at him, you can want nothing more but to be closer to him, but to be with him. And so that you can imagine the perfect peace of heaven, when all you want is him and all you have is him. There's nothing to want. There's nothing to need. There's just perfect peace. There's nothing that can threaten God, because there's no opposition to God. You have no choice, because choice entails that there's something to choose between, but there's only God in heaven. And so choice is actually an illusion. Choice only arises as a result of your perceived separation from him.
Like, what is there to choose from?
There's only God.
There's only God.
You would either choose God or not God. And there's no real not God, so there's no choice but God. So, God is meant to be understood. God is plain and clear and simple and obvious. God is easy to understand because God is simple. God is peaceful. God is perfect. And so you know that God exists because you are aware. And your awareness right now, which is the only thing you can prove that you are aware. You can't prove that you're really a human. Have you seen The Matrix? You can be plugged into a robot apparatus who's giving you a high-quality 3D experience. You can't prove anything beyond that you are aware right now. You can't even prove that you're making choices. Because in the act of making a choice, you have to not make another choice. And how can you prove that the other choice was even possible?
Even then, like, the energy and faculty of thought doesn't come from you. It comes from the divine. And of course...
Prove us wrong.
Yeah, and of course, like, you can pick and choose, like, what you're thinking and stuff. But at the same time, not really. Like, so much of our thinking is subconscious and unconscious. And that energy of thought is not even... It's not ours at all.
This doesn't lead you to, well, if it's, I have no choice, screw it all. I'm just not going to care. Well,
that's not
you do have a choice in whether you engage in God or not.
Right.
And that's it. That's the only choice you have here. And of course, you can do whatever you want. But anything apart from God is not a real choice. And that's what we mean by that. So, how do we know that God exists? And we've already talked about that. You know God exists because you're aware right now. And in that awareness, you share perfect union with God. That awareness precedes all things. It's the indicator of your existence, not thought, awareness. Because you can, if you're pretty good at meditating, you can turn off thought. You can just be. A constant stream of thinking is only the result of a sick mind. Thought should not always be churning in your mind.
Yeah, I never actually thought about that, but it's true. Like, there are many, many moments in my day where, like, I'm not thinking. I'm actually just walking around and I'm being. And like, I'll go into my head and I'll be like, what am I thinking? And I'm like, I'm thinking of nothing. That's nice.
A constant stream of peace is the hallmark of a healthy mind.
Oh, yeah.
A healthy mind is one that is connected with God. So how do you connect with God? I guess my question is, how do you not connect with God? How do you, a human being, live life without a thought, a desire, a feeling, or impetus toward what you want? What human being does not want something?
Right.
Every person in history, every person you've ever met, everyone has an agenda. They want something. Everything that every human engages in has to have a reason behind it. There's a reason that suddenly people don't just burn down every little inch of earth. There's a reason. Because you wouldn't get what you wanted. People only do things to get what they want. And you can only want one of two things. You can only align your desire to one of two masters. You can only serve one of two teachers. And there are two teachers. One doesn't actually exist, and the other is real. Those two teachers are God and fear, or separation from God, or ego. Ego is the non-existent central apparatus which would take you away from God and have you serve its agenda to separate you from God for the purpose of the illusion of being God.
Right. There's always short-term bargains, but you always lose. It's always a bad deal. But I've seen it time and time again.
Because when you serve ego as your master, you lose. you lose what you are.
Right. It may be like from the outside, very short term, it looks like they're the ones in power and they got the position and they're the authority or they're on top or they got promoted, whatever it is. But anything that's based on a lie eventually comes crashing down. That's why, like Buddha says, the sun, the moon, and the truth cannot long be hidden. And the person that stays with God is the one that ultimately goes on top, is on top, gets promoted, gets to higher levels of being, and remains there.
Good. So, how do I have a relationship with God?
I love God.
You pursue the good feeling, and you apply logic to the good feeling. You apply logic to what matters. You apply logic to what you're headed toward. Is there more that you'd like to say?
Well, I agree with what you're saying, and I also feel like anytime I want to connect with God or to God, I honestly just start like thinking about how much I love God, and then I'll feel like my heart grow lighter, and like I'll feel like God's response, like, oh, you love me, you know what I mean? Like how you would feel when someone you care about says, hey, I love you, and you're like, oh my gosh, you know what I mean? And so, and then there's like, you feel that connection, or that, there's like, yeah, that connection grows or gets better, or however that love is shared between, two people. Like, to me, it's really no different than like my connection with God. And everything I do with God, and it's really wonderful and it's really fun. Or, like, I'll be watching Netflix and I'll be like, okay, God, what do you want to watch with me today? Let's watch something really good together. And or I'll be like scrapbooking, and I'll always ask God, like, hey God, what do you think we should do next? Like, what should I do? This sticker? Should I lay down this picture or whatever? And
what is it that you desire of me? What is the direction that you want me to go?
Yeah, I guess that's the way you could put it. But that's why I can spend hours and hours all by myself because I'm not alone. I have a constant companion in God, and it's just it's lovely because I do have someone that I'm spending the rest of my life with, and it's not just my twin flame. It's it's my creator, it's my mother, it's my father, and it's a very joyful relationship to be in. And God loves when I start loving him and giving gratitude.
Because God is in your home, he loves when you love your home. Because God is in your twin flame, he loves when you love your twin flame. Because God is in your finances, he loves when you love your finances.
Yeah.
Because God is in your relationships, he loves when you love your relationships. Because God is in your body, in your food, in everything, in the systems of your life. Because God is in your mind, he loves when you love these things. And in order to love something, you must want to get to know it. Let's look at, for example, your body. If you want to love God in your body, you've got to get to know your body. If you don't know your body, you start by listening to it.
Start by listening.
And by paying attention to it.
Yeah.
That's how you start a relationship. I listen to it, and I pay attention to it. I begin becoming present with it. And I watch it. I become aware of it. Okay, I notice it's like this. It does this. It functions in this way. You start to get an understanding. You start to bring it into your mind. It's like this. And then you experience something, boom, that totally shatters your understanding of it. Whoa, right. I didn't know it was like this at all.
It's kind of like when we did our sermon not too long ago about the heart, our physical heart, and becoming like aware of it. And like what brings it peace, what brings it rest, and how to start like really healing our hearts to the next level. And like I never really felt God there before. I'm like, oh yes, I have a physical body, ha 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 ha, like on a deeper level, right? And like I don't know. Hopefully you guys have been doing that practice in your hearts. Like it's just completely changed my life and brought more God into my body, and I felt so much better,
So, you have to have a relationship with God in anything you desire. And we're talking about the body. if you want to have a relationship with God through your body, and this is the last thing we'll have to end on, you get to know your body, and you're going to notice things that totally, and dramatically change the way you understand what it is you're dealing with. And you have to integrate those understandings. You can have, cataclysmic, informational, experiences. Oh my gosh, I thought I had to be with someone that romantically that makes me unhappy, but I have a twin flame. That is earth-shattering awareness that you can come to.
Yeah.
And then once you get to know the system, you get to know your body, you realize what it likes, what it doesn't like, what it thrives under, and you notice where that life comes or where it gets sick.
I didn't realize, for instance, that my my did not like having inconsistent meal times. Before, I would just eat whenever I was hungry. So, it'd be 10 in the morning. Okay, I'm gonna have breakfast now. It seems pretty good. But I realize now that we've had consistent meals, that my body actually, I'm much more attuned to it. And it's we need to be eating, by the clock, at our specified times. And I just feel it, feel understood by me and feel really grateful and loved by me. Yeah.
And so you have to know the difference between what is God and what is sickness. And if you're insane, you won't know the difference. But if you want to know the difference, you'll see, wow, the sickness produces nothing. But this life, this vitality produces everything. It's fruitful, it's wonderful. And in your body, you start to realize, oh, I feed it well, it thrives. I exercise it, it thrives. I give it enough sleep, it thrives. I give it too much sleep, it starts to get lazy. And then you can fine-tune these things, and deeper you go. And so there's limitless places for you to be with God. But there's only the place that you want to be with God that matters to you. You can be with God in the same way that Bill Gates is with God, with his money and his success.
And his books.
And his books and his Microsoft and all the things that he does. But why don't you just leave that to Mr. Gates? And you can do what only you can do. And you can thrive in ways that only you can thrive. And you can be interested in the subjects that only you are interested in. And you can love God in the way that only you can love God. No other being can love God in the way that you can. And this is what makes you infinitely valuable to God. Because that itch in his little shoulder can only be scratched by you. Because his heart, in that way, that most important of ways, can only be fulfilled and satisfied by you. And that leaves God something to strive for. Because the only thing that is not given to God is your love. And so he must earn that from you too. And I promise you, he is immensely effective at earning your love. Even if you work with every fiber of your being for eternity to not love God, you will have played right into his hand. No matter how resistant you are, no matter how much you want to hate God, no matter how much you want to hate his messenger, no matter how much you want to deny his message, you are playing right into his hand. So thank you so much for joining us for another juicy sermon. Let's conclude with our closing prayer.
Do we own?
We own after the prayer.
Do we? Oh. Okay.
Please follow along in your heart or aloud. Father, I accept your word into my heart. I will honor your will in my life and will follow you without hesitation anywhere you ask. I know you guide me into your heart where I belong. I accept that you are everywhere and your teaching is in all things. God, I know you provide me with clarity in this teaching of union that I may be forever in union with you.
I accept that you are in me as you are in my brother. I will not deny my brother your word and will share your teaching with him in any way you ask and only as you ask. For when I share my salvation with him, I fully claim my salvation and return to you with him. In Christ's name, Om, Amen.
Speaking this prayer in your heart means you've accepted that you're on the path of awakening to your true divine nature. This is what it means to be a unionist. Follow the teachings of union with God wherever you find them, and purify your consciousness into perfect union with your Creator. Let us Om.
Let us Om out and into the world and within. Alrighty. Let's focus in on our hearts. Shanti, Shanti, peace, peace, peace. Peace in our hearts, peace in our mind, peace in the world. And so it is. Blessed be and namaste.
Namaste.
Thank you for joining us. We'll see you next week, guys.
Take care.
Take care.
Welcome back, everyone. I hope you enjoyed that sermon. I'm going to go back and watch it a few times. I wanted to share that we have after church tea that you can come to just following this over on twinflamesuniverse.com/forum and join the Church of Union open forum. And there you'll find the top post is after church tea, and come and talk about God. What is God for you? How did you experience God, and what are you learning through Jeff and Shaleia's teachings? And then if you'd like to watch this service again, or our past services, or experience our music, meditations, and card readings, go to unionism.org. And also there you can find a donate button. Our entire church service is run by volunteers, and your donation makes it possible for us to run our programming on all of the platforms that we use to create this content. We would really like to thank our February donors, and we're going to be listing them after this. But just really wanted to say thank you, and your support always helps, and you help keep this running, and you help propagate this teaching to the world, because this has been so profound to my heart, and I know for yours as well. So thank you for donating, and you can continue to donate or tithe. Tithing is taking 10% of your income off the top and donating it or promising it each month. So thank you very much. And also tomorrow, Mondays at noon, on this YouTube channel, you can see us for the after church, post-church message, for the weekly message discussion live, and you can ask a question and have it answered and discussed as you are in person there on our live video feed on Mondays. So thank you very much, everyone, and I hope you have a very blessed week.